interviewing one of the speakers that's going to be at the event, and that's Chris Guierro. Chris, welcome to the Google Hangout.
Hey, thanks, Heather.
Hey, thanks. Okay, so Chris, I'm going to talk to the audience here a little bit about you and who you are. With 20 years of world experience and growing multi-million-dollar companies, you've actually created 4 multi-million-dollar companies and sold 2 of them and gone on to build others. And you're kind of like the secret sauce behind many people in their leadership positions, their companies, as well as politics. Is that right?
Yeah, you make the really kind of makes me sound so cool. I don't know if I'm going to be able to live up to this. I'm a little nervous.
You don't be nervous. I mean, you're the man behind the curtain being revealed a little bit. That's okay. So let me ask you a question, and this is my favorite part about you. I have to ask this about this. So you were honored twice by NASCAR with your photo painted on the car. I mean, honestly, you're the first guy I've ever met that had his face painted on a NASCAR. Can you share that story?
Yeah, that was a couple of years back. We were at the Daytona 500 qualification races, and I don't really know a lot about how Google Video here works. Otherwise, I'd throw a picture of it up on the screen because I'm just such an egomaniac. However, we went through a lot of negotiations with one of the companies that we were working with, and in order to, they kept coming up with more and different unique ways to try to get me to agree to work with them in their business. And they finally said something like, well, we have a NASCAR. Maybe we could put your business name on it because it costs a lot of money. The sponsorship rates are so expensive on each side. That's a really big deal. You should really think about taking this. And I said, well, would you maybe be able to paint a picture on it instead of a name of a company? So that's what we ended up doing. I put together a couple of buddies of mine who I wanted to be part of this business with me, and the deal is that our faces had to be painted on the NASCAR during the race, so it ran through 2 races, and it's really sort of cool. I think it's on our website someplace, but I can't for the life. Oh, I know where it is. On the website, if you go there at some point, it's on the changeable flash that we have on the home page. So you'll see a picture of it there.
Very nice.
Cool.
Well, that's you're the first entrepreneur I know that's had their face on the side of a NASCAR. That's pretty impressive. Other than that, so being a New Yorker and being an extremely successful businessman, so tell us about you coming to the event, the Success Magnet Seminar, where you're going to be speaking with other legendaries of Joe Sugarman, John Carlton, Joe Polish, and a few others, and you yourself. So tell me, thanks for coming. Thanks for saying yes to this. I know you don't get out a lot. I know you don't fly away from New York at all very often because you used to travel around the country, do that, and that's no longer what you're up to. So tell us a little bit about, why you're coming to the event and exactly why you think it's important that other people should come to the event.
Well, I was at an event, and you're right, I was all over the globe for about 6 years or so. I traveled all over the globe, and I was on stage about 4 to 7 times a month, and speaking in front of sometimes up to 10,000 people. There were a couple of hundred people in a few, a couple of thousand people in a few, and the really large ones were far more than that. And out of all those events, I got to tell you, there was one event, and it was in Dubai, that a bunch of buddies of mine and myself were out there, and literally every speaker, you've been to a lot of these events like I have, right? And you'll leave the room when certain speakers are up there because you know that, well, there's going to be, it's just a pitch fest, it's just a tease, there's a little bit of stuff there. But at this one event, John Carlton, who is going to be at your event also, and I and a few other buddies were there, and every single speaker stayed in the room to listen to every other speaker because that's how valuable it was to us, people who are in the trenches and actually doing this stuff. So when you see that happen at an event, and I am absolutely sure that at your event this is going to happen as well, and that's why I agreed to do it because obviously Joe, Sugarman, I just love him. I love everything that comes out of his mouth. Joe Polish, another terrific guy and a friend. Carlton, he's an amazing, brilliant man who has been through everything in this industry, and you learn from him every time you talk to him. Benson, who he and I go back many years in the health industry. So I just think this is going to be one of these events that not only the attendees get 1,000% out of, I mean, really actionable step-by-step things. I know that's what I'm bringing. That's all I'm bringing to this is actionable steps. But I think that you're going to see the speakers hanging out in the back of the room also taking a lot of notes. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that's actually true. So John Carlton and Joe Polish, those guys are coming not only just to speak, because they don't need a speaking gig, as John Carlton told me, and you told me, I don't need another speaking gig. That's not why I'm coming. I'm coming because this is going to be solid content. So I want to talk to people who don't know who you are, because you're not out in the circuit anymore. And it's great. You're a real marketer. Like, you're a real guy running real businesses. You have 4 or 5 now. I'm not sure. It goes in and out every day. And so tell us a little bit about some of your businesses, what you can tell us about them, other niches you're in. You've got one that's particularly an interesting kind of niche. So I don't know if you can talk about that, about so many other people that there are speakers that are actually in the trenches of this.
Sure. Yeah, and I'll share how I got into some of these with you if you want also afterwards. But obviously I'm in the health niche, and we've got about 48 or so health websites out there, a health TV show, health books, health audios, all that kind of good stuff. So that's one industry. We are in the class action noticing industry, which is really a fun, extremely unique industry, and it gives me the ability to really use the tools and tactics that we've built up over the years that allow us to grow these businesses online as well as offline, but to do it in an industry that is just scattered with bad people. You know, the class action noticing industry is, I've not met that many great people. Most of them are attorneys. In that particular company, I have 2 partners who are attorneys, and I'm not exactly fond of them outside of our relationship in the business. But that's a great company, and that has grown to America's largest internet-based class action noticing firm. And it is cool. That's greenclassnotice.com, which is the website. We're actually the only class action noticing firm in America that all the attorney generals have actually said, hey, this is the wave of the future, and we've got a little quote on the front of the website about that. But we're in those industries. I'm in the consulting industry also. We have a consulting program, which a lot of the top internet marketers in the world, a lot of the top guys in personal development in the world. We have politicians in there. We have so many different groups of people in there who really need to get their message out to millions relatively quickly, but in a way that builds their reputation, builds their credibility, builds their brand. So this is doing large offline tactics, but doing them online as well, and using that kind of arbitrage tactic to spread messages really, really quickly online. And then we have an implementation program. It's a business called iBranding. The main product inside of it is called iBranding also, and that's a program where my team that actually works for my companies, getting out there and spreading the word about our products or services or anything else, and works with our consulting clients also. We allow in a certain number of folks who are not in my consulting program to get into that, and that's a fun program also. But it's mostly a branding company where we work mostly with offline folks, and that's where I think you said something about the movie industry we're in. We help a lot of the marketing firms who deal specifically with Hollywood movies, help them fill the seats in the theaters when a new movie comes out. The system that we use called iBranding is the one that actually goes out there and spreads the message about that before it hits the theaters.
Well, it's interesting. You're in a few different niches that I love, which is the movie business and politics. I find that fascinating that you're in politics. And I don't know.
I am definitely. Let me stop you. I am not in politics, nor am I in the movie industry. If I was in the movie industry, I would be doing something far more fun than doing something behind the scenes. With my ego, I would need the camera aimed at me. And politics, no, we work with politicians, and we help the right ones to spread their message. And the same thing with the movie theater business. I really, I would love that to be a segue into me, being a star in one of the movies. Maybe that's a great idea. Maybe we should work on that together.
We should. You're now a star right here. Look, you got a name in lights right now, right here, Chris.
Right.
I think you'd be great, Brad Pitt. I mean, I don't know. I just
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I just think it's great that you're actually in other niches, that you're using marketing strategies like the Joe Sugarman, he's in sunglasses. You know,
Yeah.
he's using strategies of business and copywriting and entrepreneurship in other businesses other than just like online marketing or being a copywriter for hire. You're in other niches. I love the class actually because it's different. You're taking a very old school kind of uh, I guess, kind of company or industry, it's kind of turned it into more of an online market. That's pretty successful, and I think that's pretty interesting.
Well, it's interesting, and one of the I was given a talk one time a while ago, and somebody stood up, and there's always one person who stands up and says something. I'm not saying it was a bad thing, but they said something about, wow, it sounds like you're a jack of all trades, and it made my eye twitch a little bit, and I really thought about that. I had to really do some deep reflecting about that, because if that's the message that I'm conveying, it kind of sucks.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is that we all have our core competencies, one or two things that we just excel at because we really enjoy it and we just click when we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what that is in my life. And I know when I am working in business, I know how to develop SOPs, standard operating procedures for companies. And in fact, I have a venture capital firm, which one of the things that we didn't talk about. Had a venture capital firm for 15 years now, and my prime focus when we're investing in a company, what I personally do is I'm in there and I'm helping them do two things. Number one, develop SOPs, standard operating procedures, so that they could automate their systems. But number two, going out there and doing what I'm going to be talking about when I come out to speak at your event, and that is locating your target audience online, finding out exactly what triggers them to take an action, whether that's click or call or walk in and buy something, and then showing you guys how to take that audience, put your message right in front of them, right when they're ready to buy, when they're actually out there chatting about a similar product or service. Put your message in front of them, drive them back to your phone, your office, your website, whatever it is, and driving them back in a warm way. And there's a big difference between cold clicks and a warm, the person who sits there like this saying, oh, what are you going to try and sell me? And then the person who comes there wanting more from you. It's a big, big difference, and that's the only thing that we deal with. So we do that with all these companies. I'm sorry, I don't know where I was going with that, but that's what we do with all these companies. That's my stupid human trick. That's what I really I'm relatively good at. So being in all these industries, the only part of those companies that I actually spend time on, we have great people who do the operations and do all the other stuff that would blow my mind. But what I do is I focus on setting up the tools and tactics, the SOPs, to go out there and find the exact target audience that we need, putting our message in front of them and driving them back to us.
Which is marketing, what you're saying. It's words, it's marketing, it's the core essence of Joe Sugarman and John Carlton. The one thing that was interesting to me when I was putting this event together, Success Magnet Seminar, is I looked at, you and even people that also were big supporters of us, Joe Vitale, David Garfinkel, John Carlton, and many others. I looked at where they all started. Where they learned copywriting, they learned marketing, and then they took that into other industries. And I think that where you're going with that was about, you're not a jack of all trades. I don't think that. You've used your skill set in certain different businesses, but that's not jack of all trades. You're not learning that business. You're taking your SOP and understanding marketing into those certain niches. Yeah. And that's the true essence of an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter what the widget is, you can still use your entrepreneur skill set. And that, I think, is perfect. So, well, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything, last words you want to say about, and now you're in lights, and now you're in your true movie right here. This is your date.
Yeah, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do a quick dance before we leave, just so I could showcase all my talents.
Wonderful, wonderful.
No, I'm excited. So I think what I will leave you guys with is this group of folks that you've got lined up to speak there. We all follow the same kind of thinking pattern, I think, and the thinking pattern that I'm going there with is I'm going there to share something, and So I think that if there's somebody on the fence about going to an event over the next 6 to 12 months, you
Mhm.
need to really do your due diligence. You need to study what kind of folks who are going to be out there speaking there, and what the event is being put on for. If the event is being put on to actually share these new tips, technologies, tactics, strategies that are working right now, and the speakers up there are folks who are actually out there doing it, and building good-sized companies, not doing a quick launch here and there, and then getting on stage and teaching people for the next 5 years how they did that launch. That's kind of counterproductive from building a business, as far as I'm concerned. Many would argue that maybe, but these folks who are going to be there understand business. They don't just understand how to run a launch or how to create a quick product and hide your name. These folks out there will teach you, and what we're going to teach you when I go there, how to build a scalable company, something that grows quickly but is scalable, possibly even sellable in the future, and that's real exciting for me. So I'm excited to be there.
No, I love it. I love that. And people ask me why I do this event, and I tell a few people, and I'll tell you, it's selfish. I'm doing this event out of selfish. I want to learn that too. I want to learn that too. I want to learn from all of you guys, and I'm going to be speaking as well. But I'm constantly learning. So I love that, and thank you so much for your time. And honestly, you're the only entrepreneur person I've ever met that's had their face on NASCAR on Google, and I love that about you. Thank you so much for your time, Chris, today.
You're very welcome. It's great to see you.